Hey everyone, another banger podcast episode in the realm of Counter-Strike dropped. This time with Twistzz, who left FaZe in 2023, probably the best team in the world at the time, and decided to build another international powerhouse in Liquid. After huge struggles, he didn't give up and he decided to do something unexpected. He became a captain and an in-game leader of the team, the role he never really experienced before, but he's managing to turn the ship around. How is he doing it and what can we learn from it? Let's dive into another in-depth episode of Talking Counter, and we also had some excellent points around something that frustrates us all, which is the current state of CS2. Twistzz scouted Ultimate out of the lower tiers, but he didn't do so because of his insane aiming or kills. He watched FACEIT games and listened to what he focused on. Oftentimes these intangibles will give you a bigger picture of a player profile, how intelligent they are in game, and those qualities are important to develop.
What did you see in his gameplay?
Yeah, Jason wants to know what FACEIT demos you watched.
Actually, no, I wanted to do like content at EPL and sit with you and watch one of his FACEIT demos so you could be like, I saw this round and look at what he does here. But like, what was it in the FACEIT demos as like an actual player in the game that you were like, those are the qualities I look for? Like, that's a cool opper that's going to have impacts.
His map awareness, his timings, when to target areas, when not to look at areas, when he knew things were clear just from info or nades on the map, clearing angles. He was just, his clutching, his utility, like when there's a lot of people that just don't know how to use utility in the right times, or, you know, when does it make sense to just right hand a random fucking smoke. And I feel like I saw that with him instantly, and that's a important trait to have as like as an opper, to use everything in your power to create space for yourself. And yeah, I saw that. I mean, I watched a lot of demos, like probably 20 FACEIT demos.
Holy shit! Okay,
I watched all of his officials from the first time I heard his name, so officials on top of demos.
I feel like this will surprise a lot of people when it really shouldn't. If there is a new talent, for example in FACEIT, he becomes a target to the scouts because of his stats or elo. However, when we look at the demos to determine his true skill, it is rare that we focus on actual kills and how well he clicks heads. We need to focus on moments that stats don't show us, stuff like rotation, abusing timings, understanding what enemy could fight us, or simple stuff such as utility usage, baiting for teammates or comps if we have access to them. If you want to become better or professional in the future, every second of the round needs to make sense. Not only those few seconds where you actually engage in an aim duel. It's funny how often this topic came up during these podcasts. If you're a fan of the channel, we did a summary of Apeks some time ago where he talked about exact same thing and gave it the utmost importance. And I still feel like the topic of having good atmosphere and healthy social relationship is overlooked by biggest teams in the world just to sign players who are maybe good on the paper but secretly dislike each other.
People in the community underestimate the importance of putting the right people together. The social aspect of CS is huge. I mean, the teams that you see actually win are the ones that have a good social have to have a good social aspect to their team. On FaZe, I'm not surprised that we won what we did. I mean, the work ethic was there from everyone, and like,
so like you guys had fun.
We were boys, literally, just a group that people that just love to be together. And this team, I have that exact same feeling again, where it's like people genuinely just want to be in that practice room together. They want to go get food together. They want to, go jump in the pool together.
And that makes the crazy schedule so much easier.
Yeah, when you're not...
I feel like you got people you want to hang out with,
These are the people you spend like the most time in your life with. No joke. Like you spend more time with your teammates than with your wife.
So yeah, this is what even fans don't really see that much. You can get into glimpses of it in video content like vlogs, but still, those are just moments, and sometimes true face of a player might be left out in edit. If you ever wonder why your favorite team is not playing as well as they should, it almost exclusively stems from either mental game of the players or from uncleared air between the teammates. Both are fixable, but some uncomfortable discussions might be needed instead of avoiding them. Building a team is no joke, especially an international one under brands such as Team Liquid. Definitely, a lot of thought has to be put into how things are structured, and for players, the most important question certainly circles around roles and positions they have to master. With how things at Liquid Camp go, it looks very promising and shows that they are doing something right. So I love that we are talking a bit more about this topic, and Moses asked the perfect question for roles and adaptation.
What's your take on roles at the moment? Because this is one thing that's frustrated me recently in public Counter-Strike discourse, especially with roster changes, is you can't pick this guy up, he doesn't fit into the roles, or this guy's, I guess the best example recently would be Mobs coming into G2 and how much of an uproar there was over him having to play, especially on CT side's roles that he doesn't normally play, and taking him out of his position. So what's your opinion in terms of how well players can adapt to different roles? Like, is it really like one for one, like, oh, we need an anchor, we have to get this guy who's known for anchoring, or can you take a player and let him learn to be an anchor?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. I mean, every player should be able to learn every role, with exceptions. AWP is very specific, right?
Yeah.
And same as leading. But the other 3 roles, I mean, I will say like entry fraggers, like I mentioned before,
pretty specialist.
It's just like they are specialists, right? And with the new HLTV statistics system, you can tell some players are throwing more utility than others.
Yeah.
So it's just more normal, because you have to think, like, memory is a big thing in CS, right? Not every player just remembers every nade. That's also a specialty that players have. But yeah, the people learning anchor roles, not being anchor roles. I mean, JKS was a good example. We've put him across different roles, more aggressive roles on some maps and whatever, and he's flourishing and he's learning. I mean, I do think the roles still exist. It's just like everyone should be able to learn.
So this very neatly intertwines with this video we have made on this channel a while ago. We spoke about how players could improve much more and faster if they played in the correct role that really fits their personality. And we came to similar conclusions that Twistzz is mentioning, and that being that rifler roles should be somewhat flexible, as they share much more similarities compared to an OPER or IGL, let's say. The main point to take away here is that while my video and Twistzz suggest that a player will fit into a role, it is not a rule. You shouldn't chain yourself to an anchor position for all of your games because you're a bit more quiet or passive. You can and should get out of the comfort zone to see if you can improve elsewhere. While being master in your position can be a huge boost, not knowing any other roles will eventually make you hit a skill ceiling that you will have a hard time overcoming. Another point Twistzz made is aimed at younger players, who he thinks will struggle to find this adaptability compared to more experienced players. It was a pretty interesting conversation, and I would hate to left something out, so here's the full clip.
I mean, to some degree, I would say that maybe it could be the younger players that are going to be less adaptable.
Really?
See, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Because who's the last guest we talked to?
The last guest we had, we talked to?
Maybe not less adaptable, maybe more stubborn.
The younger players
would be my...
Really?
Well, they know how to do only a few things.
The older players would be the hardest to adapt to a new role.
I forgot who we talked to.
Who was that said that?
Maybe I'm just biased because I have Justin on my team.
No. It's a perfectly valid opinion. It's just curious that it's just fun that we have 2 different takes on the situation. More than anything,
But I think it's more about the personality of the player rather than the role that they play in, right? If you have a guy who can't sit still, right? It's going to be hard to put him to play anchor, right? So he has to play, rotation positions, because that's the one thing. It's not that he doesn't know how to play anchor, just with the way his personality and everything.
With
there's
the
no
plays that he likes to make and the things he wants to do.
Just how he is, And then you have guys who are more laid back and calm and just content with being patient and sitting still. And yeah, those are your anchors. Those are your lurkers on the T side. You have guys who constantly have to be in the thick of it and do something and in the action.
It may be a good time to address the elephant in the room. I think frustrations is at an all-time high when it comes to the state of the game. And I'm not even going to talk about cheaters, but the bugs, performance, and overall gameplay feels almost worse than on the release of CS2, which was over 1 year ago. But few clips from this podcast actually make me hopeful, so I want to end this video on a positive note and share them with you.
I mean, maybe I'm just privileged. I play on Fight Ping like all the time at LAN, at home. But like you open Reddit and you see like CS2, and it honestly is some like crazy shit happening. But yeah, I think we just have to give Valve time. And I will say they are actively looking.
Yeah.
They're talking to pros.
Yep.
They are.
Yeah.
So they're trying to fix the game, and I think that's what the community realizes. They're talking to the people that are best know how to I mean, I would hope pros are actually taking it serious and giving feedback, because it is our future in the game. So please give good feedback to the developer. But they're trying.
So now we know that developers actually care and they try to fix things. The narrative that every CS2 dev went over to work on Deadlock is untrue, and we should keep providing feedback as a community. It sucks that Valve rely on community so much in terms of debugging, but that is the reality we do, and if we want CS2 to feel better, it feels like we need to actively give solutions to developer, because sometimes they can't find it themselves. At the end, Twistzz talks briefly about overall performance issue in CS2. You feel this too, if you don't have specs that are at the top of the market, but the issue isn't only on your end. Even at high-end rigs at the tournaments, the game just feels bad, laggy, and unoptimized.
Sure.
But there is a big optimization problem. I mean, we're playing, and I mean, think about the PCs we're using.
Yeah.
Best Intel processor, maybe not the best graphics card. It's almost there.
Yeah.
Obviously, RAM matters a lot. I don't know the specs of the PCs, but I'm still running out of water on Ancient with 140 FPS.
Really?
Game looks like a slideshow. And it's for everyone. And that's just, there's nothing you can do. You can't blame ESL. It's just the game at the moment.
And then this transposed into the actual feedback we should be giving. So the host trio of the podcast were involved in beta testing of CS2 before it was even released. So they got a true first look at the game and gave general feedback while being present in Valve offices. However, they really hit the mark when it comes to being asked for feedback. It sounds trivial, but trying to describe a problem and find a solution with proper explanation is a pretty hard thing to do. Have a listen.
The problem is, we spoke about this in the early days when the beta came out and the CS2 came out, is like saying it doesn't feel right, or this doesn't feel good, or feel is like the worst way to describe anything to a developer, right? Like we can identify as players.
They don't have feelings.
True. We can identify as a player that it's not right, but we need to work out why it's not right. And that's the hardest thing that we had when we were doing the beta testing is like, okay, so we know that this is a problem, but what is impacting this that gets us to this point? Like, why is it? And it's not easy to do. Like, and it's very easy for people to just go, oh, it feels wrong, right? And that's understandable.
And the questions they ask, you're always like, okay, now explain that, but a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And then you try and do that, and they're like, okay, now reword that in a little bit deeper. And you're just like, fuck, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't have the vocabulary to do it.
No.
Yeah.
It can be very frustrating to talk to them, because you're like, I have never conversed
In this way.
in this dimension, right? Like
Yeah.
I've never had to dig so deep to explain something, right? But
So I agree with this, that sometimes giving feedback feels a bit weird to me, because I cannot come up with a solution, and often I cannot even come up with the words that will describe the problem I'm experiencing. This is where starting this debate actually makes sense. Usually when I see some interesting Twitter posts or even YouTube comments, people manage to articulate the feedback well, and it leads to another person putting extra layer of information on top of that, and then the snowball keeps going until we really come to the root of the problem. And once we do, developers come up with a fix or an update pretty quick, or at least most of the time. With that being said, let me know if there is some minor bug that you encounter almost on daily basis, and yeah, we will just keep a list of these things, and I wonder if I revisit this comment section in 2 or 3 months, how many of these issues will be gone by then. Looking forward to this small experiment, and in the meantime, hit that like or subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. Huge shout out to my Ko-fi members for your continual support so I can make videos like this for you. And you should be seeing their names on the screen right now, and if you want to appear here too, please do check my Ko-fi page, where you can gain tons of cool and exclusive perks at various tiers of membership. And when I say cool and exclusive, I truly mean it. Go check it out, it's worth it, I promise. Thank you for making my content better and possible.